welcome back to Sonia's Book Talk at the Stickney-Forest Public Library. Well, another year has gone by. 2016 it went by so fast, lots of good books, so many books still that I have to read yet, but I'm going to share some of my favorites of 2016 with you today. So I'm going to start with Before the Fall by Noah Hawley. I guess this author writes for television, according to his bio, but this is a gripping mystery. Plane has gone down, a private plane in Martha's Vineyard, and there's an investigation, and there's crazy media around it because some of the people on the plane were rich. I have to say were. There is one adult survivor and one child survivor. And I have to talk about that, one of the beginning scenes where he is, in the water in the dead of night, freaking out, and then swimming, trying to survive. It was a great scene. And it starts with that, and then it pretty much keeps momentum the whole way, and I was very intrigued the whole time, and it's a fun read. It's a mystery, but there's no graphic violence, and I appreciated that, and I would recommend it. One of the best of 2016, Before the Fall. The next book that I'm going to talk about is The Girls by Emma Cline. This one had a lot of buzz this year because it's a new author, and this one is basically a reimagining of the Manson cult. So it's inspired by it. It's not based on it. The cult leader guy's name is something else. It's not Charlie. But it basically imagines a teenage girl who gets drawn into this cult and what would draw her to it, and what kind of dark place does she have to be in to want to be with these people. And it's a lot about how she gloms on to the other girls. Is glom a word? I don't know. Anyway, she's intrigued by the other girls in this cult, and she's a lonely girl, and I think it really imagined it really well. There's one explicit sex scene in here, if that bothers you. Just read over it, or maybe this isn't a book for you, but it's very well written. We all know that it builds to a crime, and she tells us, because it's from the voice of her as an adult looking back, so we know that, similar to what happens, like it culminates in like a murder, but how did it get to that point? So she's like an insider, but she's also still kind of an outsider. It was very intriguing. There is that crime, but it's not a crime novel. Mystery crime fans would probably think that this is too slow moving for them, but it's literary fiction. So I really liked it, and I would recommend it. One of the best of 2016. And for my final book, my favorite book of 2016 is Chicago by Brian Doyle. I talked about this before this year in my Chicago book talk, but it's like one of my favorites this year, and it's such a quiet book. I don't know anyone else that has read it, but it's basically a young guy right out of college gets a job in Chicago, moves there, explores the city, makes friends with people in his apartment. And something I don't think I talked about last time was the dog character in this book that lives in the apartment. The dog, it's not his dog, but it's a dog of someone else in the apartment. The dog is like the smartest being in the whole story, basically. The dog is like this sentient, intelligent being, and he helps the main character out a lot. The dog just goes on errands and rides the bus to go on these errands like by himself. The dog scares away like bad guys. The dog knows when people are going through a hard time. So the dog character is really fun in this. I don't think I mentioned that too much in my other book talk, but the way he describes Chicago is so good. It's the late 70s in Chicago, and I was 2, but I remember the Chicago of those days. So if you lived in Chicago in the 70s and 80s, you would find some things in this book to like. I really liked it. It's probably my favorite book of the year. So here are three of my favorites of 2016. I was noticing how they all have really cool covers. Like all of these covers are awesome, I think. Maybe you agree with me. Anyway, Before the Fall, The Girls, and Chicago. Take a look at these and put a comment on what were your favorite books of 2016. And I'm still reading a bunch of books from 2016, so I'd love to hear your comments and join me next year. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the Stickney-Forest View Public Library's YouTube channel. Also, like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Stickney-Forest View Public Library District, where great things happen.